Hello everyone and welcome back to another deck idea brought to you by Double Sleeved. Today we're covering the blue A21 deck coming out in Power Absorbed, a character that we haven't seen since about set 8, and it's gotten little bits of support here and there. Obviously so many blue-green androids and red ribbon army cards that have come out in between that time, but we've got a new mechanic to kind of mess around with and a new leader to play. And let's see how it goes compared to some of the other leaders in Power Absorbed and that we've seen in the past. Starting off, we've got an interesting effect on our leader. So it's a permanent, you can't activate extras, and during your turn, you can't use skills to play battle cards. So that locks us out of a lot of cards early on, since at this point of the game, we're mainly playing some pretty heavy hitters early, all via skills. So it's something to be mindful of. During our turn, we can't rival cards into play. We can't use activate mains to bring things into play. And it does hinder some of the deck in a way, I suppose. But yeah, it's just a balancing thing. Obviously, this deck has a couple of different ways to get cards out for cheaper than what they usually cost. So this is just a way to keep it in line. And the extras, that's a big drawback to the deck, especially early on, since we're not going to be able to use things like Beerus Destroys and Dimension Magics early to get out of those aggressive attacks. But it's something to be mindful of. Moving into the auto, if you have an Android 21Z battle card in play, at the end of your turn, switch up to one of your blue energy to active mode. So pretty cool effect there if we're not on our Awakened side. Activate main once per turn, add one card from your life to your hand, look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to one blue android card among them to your hand, shuffle your deck, and this card gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. Some great self-awakener, a great self-awakener built into the leader, which is really good, and a search effect to be able to find pretty much every card in the deck, bar extra cards and unisons and things like that, which we're not running a whole lot of, so it's always really good to have that effect available. And a pretty standard awaken when your life is at 4 or less, draw one card, switch up to one of your energy to active mode, and then we obviously flip this card over. So if we get down to 5, we can take the life, get the 5k, and then meet the condition for the awaken. And we really want to get to our awakened side as soon as possible. While staying at 4 life, we don't want to be going lower than that. It does get a bit difficult there, since we are playing some high energy cost battle cards, but we can play them out without using a whole lot of our energy, which is really good. So similar permanent, during your turn you can't use skills to play battle cards. Again, we are kind of locked out of some of the effects that we can use. Some of the other blue cards, I should say, things like the dual attack Piccolo and things like that, we're not going to be able to play that using the activate main, which is a card that's running around in most blue decks at the moment. But permanent, during your turn, you can't use skills to play battle cards. We've gone over that one. Permanent, when paying energy costs for your Android 21 cards, you can use your Android 21Z battle cards and your opponent's battle cards and unisons as energy. A really strong effect there. We've seen some pretty much game-breaking Android 21 cards revealed for this deck, and the fact that we don't need to use all of our energy to play them out, and that we can start using our opponent's battle cards and unisons as well, is really good. And you're probably thinking, well, I'll just attack with everything and keep it all in rest mode, but we have an activate main once per turn, draw one card, and choose up to 3 of your opponent's battle cards and or unisons, ignoring barrier, and switch them to active mode. So worth noting, this permanent doesn't actually choose the card, so you can use your opponent's battle cards and unisons even if they have barrier. And another thing worth noting as well, that the color of the card you're resting is relevant, especially with the cards, the Android 21s that have specified costs. If we're going up against red or yellow and things like that, and you start resting red or yellow cards, they won't meet the requirements of the blue-green. So just keep that in mind, especially if you start resting tokens and things like that. While they do count as energy, they don't count as blue or green. But if you're going against a blue or green deck, well, then you just have even more energy to play around with. Really cool effect. Being able to mess around with unisons is always good too. So really interesting leader. But moving into the deck, we've got Android 21, the ringleader. It's a 1-drop 4K. If your leader is an Android card, when you play this card, draw 1, and at the end of your opponent's next turn, play 1 clone token with 10,000 power in your opponent's battle area. So it comes in after their turn, they don't get to swing with it and put pressure onto our leader, and we can then use that card for our energy, that token I should say. And activate main to play Scheme, which we're not running, but just another great way to get some tokens out. We get to draw a card, and we can use our Android 21Z battle cards to play this out if we don't want to attack with them. Android 21 Mandatory Gathering, another 1-drop 4K. If your leader is an Android card, when this card is played, look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 blue Android with an energy cost of 5 or less among them, shuffle your deck at the end of your opponent's next turn, play 1 clone token with 10,000 power in your opponent's battle area. Similar effect, we get to search that top 5, which is so many of the cards within this deck. When you combine that with the Self-Awakener on our leader, we can really fix our hand early on to find the cards that we need. If your leader is a blue Android card, when this card is used in a combo from your hand, play 1 clone token in your opponent's battle area. So some more use for this card if we don't feel the need to play it out and search for the Android. If we just want to have those clone tokens out, then we've got this way to get another one. And another great use for the clone tokens is this unison, Super Android 13 Never Ending Bloodlust. It's a unison that came out in Battle Evolution a fair while ago. Hasn't seen a whole lot of play since there's not a lot of clone token decks running around, but it's a 2 specified blue 14k unison with an activate main. If you don't have a unison in play and you choose one of your opponent's clone tokens and remove it from the game, play this card from your hand in rest mode with a marker on it. We've got a +2 activate main. One of your mono blue leaders gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. We can very easily give this to our leader and make it a 20k swing. And your opponent's clone tokens can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So we're giving our opponent these clone tokens and we're preventing them from being able to attack, which means that they can't put that early pressure onto our leader if we're not on our awakened side. And we've got a relevant -4 activate battle. This card gets plus 11,000 power and double strike for the turn. We've seen how strong this activate battle can be with the Red Gogeta Unison, where you can test the waters, see if they're going to negate, and then if they decide not to negate, well then you can pop the -4, go to 25k double strike, and that's very difficult to get out of. When we're running a blue unison in an Android deck, we have to run Android 18, Let the Battle Begin. It's a 15k blocker, it's a 4-drop counterplay. You play this card, and then if the battle card being played has energy cost of 4 or less, it goes to the bottom of the deck instead. With the permanent, if your leader is an Android or Heroine card, and you have a unison in play with a specified cost of 2 or more, and it's your opponent's turn, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 3. So this does get around our permanent, since we can only use the counterplay effect on our opponent's turn. We don't have to worry about being locked using skills to play cards on our turn. A sensational kind of counterplay just to be able to bottom deck floodgates and troublesome cards. To add to the consistency of the deck, we've got Android 18 Measureless Strength, as well as that we've got the permanent, if your leader is a blue Android card, negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas. So a really great way to get this card into our energy and have that blue-green available. We can use this card for the arrival to play it on our opponent's turn. When it's played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and up to 1 card in your opponent's hand. Place them at the bottom of the owner's deck in any order. It is 3 energy, which is a bit costly, but it's a 25k critical, which is pretty good. But we've got the activate main limit 1. Discard this card from your hand. Look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck. Add up to 1 blue Android card with an energy cost of 5 or less, and then shuffle. So it just adds another layer to the consistency of this deck. And when you have a consistent deck, you generally have searchable super combos. So both of these super combos are going to be searchable off the 5-drop multicolor, the 1-drop 21, and our leader for the Self-Awakening effect. So we've got 2 of the newer super combo from Ultimate Squad. If your leader is blue or green, it's your opponent's turn. When this card is used in a combo from your hand, switch up to one of your blue-green multicolor energy to active mode. We do have a lot of cards that we can play on our opponent's turn since we're locked using skills on our turn. So it's a great way to get that energy back to be able to then use our effects on our opponent's turn. And we have the Android 18 Bionic Blitz, a relevant super combo for a whole lot of green decks and some blue decks, but it's a 10k super combo. If your leaders are blue or green, when you combo with this card, your opponent chooses one card in their hand and places it at the bottom of their deck. Next, we've got Android 16 Steadfast Comeback. This is an arrival card with some really great keyword skills. We've got dual attack, we've got blocker, and revenge. It's 20k, and if our leader's blue or green, when you play this card or use it in a combo from your hand, choose one. Either your opponent chooses one card in their hand and discards it, or you place up to one blue android with the energy cost of 1 from your deck in your drop area. But you can easily see the synergy between the two. If we need the energy back, we can use this Android 17 and 18 team up attack to then arrival the 16. Or if we just want to get 2 cards out of our opponent's hand, we can Bionic Blitz and then use the 16. We can't arrival this on our turn due to our permanent, but very easy to arrival this on our opponent's turn. Android 16 Energy Amplification. It's a 2-cost, 1 blue, 1 green, 5k, and if you have a blue-green multicolor card in your energy, when you play this card from your hand, place the top card of your deck in your energy in rest mode, and you can't play battle cards with power between 30,000 and 35,000 for the duration of the game. These androids are all designed extremely well, limiting them at 25k so that they can keep the options available to play them within the deck with energy amplification, but there is a lot of cards that we do miss out due to this card, but getting the extra energy is incredibly good. Just gives us something to do on that turn 2. We get the energy, and then from there we're ahead of our opponent. We've got energy to use on our opponent's side of the field, we've got extra energy in our area to use, and the more energy, the more cards we can play, and some of these 21s have just got incredible effects. Absolute Release Ball, it's another counterplay that we have access to if Android 18 isn't available. If your leader is a blue card and your life is at 4 or less, which we do want to get to our Awakened side, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 3 or less, it's returned to the owner's hand instead of being played, and then choose up to 1 of your blue energy and switch to active mode. So again, it just gives us another option to counterplay cards. If we feel like we need all of our energy to play a bomb that turn and our opponent does try and floodgate, we can use the Absolute Release Ball, get the energy back, and still have our full energy to play with on our turn. And a permanent, if you have a multicolor card in your energy, your life is at 4 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding a card from your life to your hand instead of paying its energy cost. So just another way to get this card out. An old Android 21 card, a Bad Omen, one that everyone in the competitive scene should know about, and everyone that's joining in on the casual scene needs to be aware of. It's the 5-drop Android 21. It's 25k, energy exhaust. We do have an activate main for 2 blue and 2 green to play this card from your energy, which we can't use unfortunately since we're locked out of using skills to play battle cards. But paying 5 for this card when it wins you the game is still worth it when you have an absolutely broken effect. Choose 1 card from your energy and place it in the drop area. When you play this card, choose up to 1 of your opponent's cards and up to 1 card in your opponent's life and place them in the owner's drop area. There's not many cards that just have this inherent burn ability, especially in blue-green, but it's one card that you have to respect when going against blue-green androids. And when we can use our opponent's cards and unisons and things like that, and our Z battle card or our Android 21 Z battle cards to play Android 21 cards, it just makes this even easier to get out. All we need is 1 blue and 1 green, and if we're tapping 3 of our opponent's battle cards and unisons, then we can get this card out and burn them for 1 life. Dimension Magic, pretty standard. We can only use this on our Awakened side since we are locked out of extra cards on our Unawakened side, but still a great negate. Secret Rare, you could go with Hatch. That's definitely a incredible Secret Rare for the deck, but unfortunately the new Android 21 Secret Rare that has been leaked isn't available on Deck Planet just yet, but I do have the effect here, which I will read out. So it's a 4-drop 40k, 1 specified blue, 1 specified green. We've got Ultimate, Energy Exhaust, Deflect, Dual Attack, and Blocker. Permanent, increase the energy cost of this card by 4 in any area other than its owner's hand or battle area. So in the deck, it is back to an 8k like most secret rares, so it makes it a bit more difficult to search this card out. But once we get into our hand or battle area, then it does become that 4k. Permanent, when this card would be removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, if one or more cards are under this card, you may place all cards from under this card in the owner's drop area instead. So it doesn't have barrier, but it does have this incredible effect to keep it on the field, and it means our opponent needs to remove it twice to truly get rid of this card. Because we do have the auto, if your leader is blue or green, when this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards in unisons, ignoring barrier, place them under this card, and for every 2 cards chosen, you may add the top card of your deck to your life, up to a total of 2. I don't think there's any secret rares that we've had in the past that inherently gain life. We've seen the rejuvenate effect on unisons a bit. It's not something that was really messed around with a whole lot outside of King Piccolo, the old red deck, but having a secret rare that gives you life back is sensational. Our opponent does need 4 battle cards or unisons to get the full value of that effect, but even if we're adding 1 life back, it's incredibly good. And it's a 40k dual attack, it's a 40k blocker if we need, it's difficult to remove, it's a great secret rare. It has been leaked on a lot of the Facebook pages and things like that, so if you do want to check it out, you probably can find it there, and I'm sure that Bandai will announce this card soon, but it is available for those that want to see it and see the artwork for themselves. It's definitely one that you want to get out of this set. Moving into some of the new Android 21 cards that we are able to get out for quite cheap, we've got Android 21 Wavering Will. It's a 4-drop, 3 specified blue, which is relevant obviously for our opponent's cards. It's a 20k critical blocker counterplay. So you play this card, auto, when this card is played, choose one. If it's your turn, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck, and at the end of the turn, switch this card to active mode. So we have access to the 20k critical, and then it restands and we have the blocker available. And if it's our opponent's turn, then we simply just draw 1 card, which is always really good. Next, one of the really good Android 21s within the deck, it's Android 21 Total Audacity, another 4-drop 20k, 2 specified blue on this one, and we've got Deflect and Double Strike. Auto limit 1, when this card is played, draw 2 cards, and at the end of your opponent's next turn, play 1 clone token with 10,000 power in your opponent's battle area. Really good. We don't have to discard a card after the draw 2, things like that. It is limit 1, so you can't chain these out, but being able to get a 20k double striker out onto the field that draws you 2 cards is really, really good. Android 21 Full Power Counter. This card definitely lives up to its name. It absolutely is a full power counter. It's a 4-drop 25k energy exhaust double strike. We've got 2 specified blue, 1 specified green, and it's a counter attack. The counter attack doesn't negate the attack, but it does play this card. We've got a permanent, if your leader is a blue Android card, negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas, similar to the other 5-drop Android 18, so we have that blue-green multicolor energy available. And then the auto. When this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, place it at the bottom of the owner's deck, and your opponent can't attack with non-leader cards for the turn unless they place 1 card each from their hand and Z energy in the owner's drop each time. This card is a 4-drop. It's not really interacted with from a lot of counterplays, especially being 25k as well. The effect on this card is so good. If our opponent attacks with a battle card, whether it's got barrier or doesn't or whatever it is, we can respond with this with this card in the counter attack window, bottom deck the attacking card, and we've seen a lot of cards that require our opponent to bottom deck a card from hand each time, but now we're seeing hand and Z energy. A lot of decks don't have access to large amounts of Z energy, so this can really shut out a turn. And it's reminiscent of when the Topo Righteous Aid Floodgate came out back in Draft Box 4 and just how game-breaking that card was. It absolutely shut down turns. I expect if this card gets out and gets onto the field, it will definitely start shutting down some turns. I'll go over the Android 21 Bewitching Battler. This is a 5-drop, 25k, 3 specified blue, 1 specified green. Energy exhaust, unique, double strike blocker, heaps of keywords, and we've got the revive blue-green mechanic on this as well. Permanent, you can activate this card's revive from your drop without paying its skill cost by removing one clone token in your opponent's battle area from the game instead. So giving us some more use for those clone tokens and being able to bring this card back just by removing those clone tokens is incredibly good. The permanent's not a once per turn effect, so if our opponent has multiple clone tokens on the field that they can't attack with because we've got the Super Android 13 out, then we can rest those clone tokens for our battle cards and our energy and things like that, and then we can establish this card and continuously block and keep it on the field and just be a real pest with this card. And then we've got an auto at the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode and choose one of your opponent's battle cards and place it in the owner's drop. So again, we get to attack with this card, similar to the other critical blocker. It's 25k and we don't have to worry about it being in rest mode because it will untap. And then we have Android 21, Ceaseless Despair. This is a 8-drop Android 21 card to kind of take place of the Violent Predator that did get banned. This one is 3 specified blue, 2 specified green. We've got Energy Exhaust, Deflect, Double Strike, and Dual Attack. Permanent, while your leader is a blue Android 21 card, reduce the combo cost of this card in your hand by 1, making it a 0 cost 10k. Auto, when this card is played, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them in the owner's drop, so they don't even go to the bottom of the owner's deck, they just go straight to the drop area. Auto once per turn, when your opponent activates a counter skill, they discard 2 cards from their hand. Worth noting that this doesn't say when this card is in battle, so we can play this card and swing with any of our other double strikers or critical or anything, and if our opponent does activate that counter skill, then they discard 2 cards regardless. And then at the end of your turn, switch up to 5 of your energy to active mode. So we have the energy available to do our shenanigans, we can arrival, we can use our Android 21 full power counter, a really well designed 8-drop boss monster, and definitely the replacement that Android 21 needed. Moving into the Z deck, which is relevant because we can use our Z battle cards to pay the energy cost of our 21 cards. We start things off with Android 21 in the name of peace. It's a 2-drop 10k 1Z energy unique critical. We've got the Z stack mechanic, Z stack 1, so blue battle cards. So when we're putting this card into play or on top of a leader from our Z deck, place up to 1 of the specified cards from your Z deck under this card. Permanent, while there are no cards under this card gets minus 5,000 power. So the turn we play it, it's a 15k, and then once we use the auto when this card is played, so we can use this, so we're going to pretty much get that minus 5 straight away, since we're generally going to want to get this effect out, but if we don't get the effect out, then yeah, it will stay at 15k, sorry, at 10k, it will stay at 10k, it won't get the minus 5. Auto, when this card is played, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, so some more Self-Awakener, and then auto for 1 blue. If your leader is a blue Android 21 card, at the start of your opponent's main phase, play up to 1 blue Android 21 Z battle card with an energy cost of 4 or less from under this card. Definitely butchered that permanent before, so the turn we play this, it's got the card underneath, it's still the 10k critical, and then at our we do get the untap as well on our awakened side because we have the 21 Z battle card in play, which gives us that blue energy to then play the 4-drop at the start of our opponent's main phase. Very well designed, the way that these mechanics work, they've designed it incredibly well. Once the card gets removed, then this becomes the 5k. It doesn't matter, we can use this card for our energy and things like that, it's done its job. We get the Android 21 in the name of hunger out onto the field at the start of our opponent's main phase. This is a 4-drop, 2 specified blue, 2 Z energy, 20k unique blocker with a Z stack mechanic for 2 battle cards. Permanent, you may choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards when choosing cards for this Z stack mechanic. So at the start of our opponent's main phase, if they have a battle card out on the field, then we can put it underneath this Android 21. When this card is played, you may place the top card of your deck in your energy in rest mode. So another way to get that extra energy as opposed to the Android 16. We also choose one of our opponent's battle cards and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. So we put 1 battle card underneath this card, and we also get to put a card at the bottom of the owner's deck. Activate main once per turn, choose up to 1 keyword skill on a card, place under this card, and this card gains a skill until the end of your opponent's next turn. So we can take things like critical, barrier, double strike. Well, we can't take. Oh, let's see. So we choose the battle card. So we're not going to be able to get around barrier with this one, but we can take the other keyword mechanics as well. And then we've got the standard Cell and Vegeta, some more Self-Awakener, and just a great board wipe, and some critical pressure. So some really great effects. So it's definitely an interesting deck to play around with. Obviously, be mindful of taking that early life and things like getting double striked or triple striked when you're at 5 life and when you don't have access to that Awaken effect. But play around with it and let us know in the comments what you think of this deck. Do you think this is too overtuned? Do you think that they've been too kind of conservative with some of the effects and the high energy cost required? Or do you think that this deck will start blowing some of the previous decks that we've seen out of the water, and this deck's just going to run rampant for the next set? Let us know what you think. I personally think that this deck is going to be extremely good. It's going to have a very high skill cap, but once people start figuring it out, it will be a bit easier to play around. We'll start seeing some older tech to kind of counter some of these cards, but definitely a deck that you need to keep on your radar. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next deck idea.